Hello, I am Mario 8th, and welcome to my very first ever developer vlog, or DevLog, developer log, DevLog. Welcome to my very first devlog. So, a while ago, for a long time now I guess, I've been thinking about starting to get into game dev. As a programmer by trade, that is my day job, I already know programming. I went to college for it, I do it on the daily, but I realized I have a love for games and I wanted to start jumping into that. So after doing a bit of research, after doing this channel for a while where I started writing, I decided I wanted to write my own form of interactive journey, interactive adventure, interactive story. And so I looked around a little bit and I saw one of the easiest languages I could possibly do it in is this game developer framework called ren'py, which I was drawn to because it uses the programming language Python. And I already know Python quite a bit. I use it a lot in college, and it's also just a really easy language to learn. So I thought, what better way to start than to create some form of text adventure using Python? And I was right. It was very easy to start. I knocked out what I'm going to show today in a couple of days. The lower section I was just a couple of hours, and then I started playing with it a little bit more to really fully grasp what this language's power is able to do. Now, I have touched not even surface level stuff with this, but it's a good enough start. I went into this tech demo with kind of the idea of a lot of different games make you choose, are you a man or are you a woman? And I wanted to go into saying, well, hey, you probably have a set of pronouns that you prefer. Let's choose one of those pronouns and only use that. Or if you use multiple pronouns, I know many people use any. I know other people have different neo-pronouns they would want to use. And I thought, well, let's make a little tech demo. I've called this specific tech demo Test 01, and I thought let's make a little tech demo where I will allow the users to choose any number of pronouns and then write a little bit of story that kind of utilizes this flexibility with the, I guess, gender selection. I should mention I am recording this on 5/5. It's actually been about a week since I've written anything for this code. But this is it's going to be a couple of weeks still when I actually release this devlog. But anyway, let's jump into our very first devlog for May 5th, 2023, and kind of look at this, I guess, pronoun tech demo that I've written. So there's two parts to the code I've started at. First, I kind of wrote all this commented out code here at the bottom. This is just kind of me familiarizing myself with the ren'py framework. Once I got that through, and I'll go through and run this a little bit later, then I started going to what I actually wanted to do. So first I created a person class, and this person class I eventually rejected. I made a person 2 up here. This person was a start. What I did was I decided to, now if I had to look this up, there are 4 different types of pronouns that get referred to as that I would need to keep track of. There's the subjective pronoun, so he, she, they, or Z if you're counting neo pronouns. I just chose these 4 to start with. Then there's the object, so him, her, them, them. Possessive, his, hers, theirs, zers. Or reflexives, himself, herself, themself, zemself. And then what I thought I would do was I would pass in a list of pronouns. So it would either have 0, 1, 2, 3. I would probably eventually have made it enum. Now I'd pass into this pronoun, so it would, instead of checking for 0, it would check for the pronoun enum. And if this specific number was in the pronouns list, then I would add that to each of the personal lists. And this, I guess this would have worked. I didn't like how it was. I came up with a better, and this worked. I did have a test person in here, and I was able to properly call the correct pronouns. So the person string, I entered their name, and I was able to pull out the correct pronouns that were put in. and I think I even made it so I could choose a random one. Oh, this is for person too. I'll get that too. So that was person. Person worked well enough, but then I realized there was probably a better way to do it, especially because in this person, it would be a lot more work to add any more pronouns. So if I wanted the user to be able to input their own pronouns, or I got feedback or whatever where it's like, oh, I want this neopronoun, I want this neopronoun, I would have to add a new case, I would have to update it in the enum, and I would have to account for that elsewhere. And I thought that ain't gonna work. Also I did have to check down here where I had to check if there were multiple pronouns added, and then if I wanted to use multiple different pronouns, cycle between them depending on who's talking, or if I wanted to. So if someone uses multiple different pronouns, so both he, him, and she, her, I would have to verify this multiple pronoun, and then use that pronoun to check between the two. So I thought it could work. I want to do something better. Then I changed it to person 2, which, as you'll see, is already a significant amount shorter. Now this takes more work on the initialization. Pronouns basically already has to be set by the time it reaches the actual person object, but I think it is much more flexible in terms of what I can do with it. So in this one is name and pronouns. So set a name, and this pronouns object is going to be a list of tuples, and I wrote myself a little cheat sheet just in case. And each of the tuples is going to be segmented into 4 distinct spots. So 0 is going to be the subjective pronoun, 1 the objective pronoun, 2 possessive, 3 reflexive. If you're not into programming, I should point out all lists are 0 indexed. So when I start out with 0, that is the index, and that is the first thing in the list. Welcome to programming. And then here's an example that I wrote. So these outer brackets, the square brackets, that constitutes a list. And these inner ones, actually I think I should change that to parentheses. I'm pretty sure I had the syntax wrong when I did that. This inner parentheses are going to be the actual pronoun list. And so when it's passed into this object, it needs to already look like this. So where it's he, him, his, himself, or they, them, theirs, themself. And then I also set a multiple. I don't think I need this here. I should remove this. Take this out, I think. Because since pronouns is already just a list, I don't need this. I could just choose a random one from this pronouns list and use that for however long that character is speaking and wants to use it for. I could just choose a random one from here. If there's only one in here, then the random one will always choose their one set of pronouns. If there's multiple, it'll choose a random one. And I can show that off in a second. Anyway, once figuring that out, then I started playing with this right here. So this just created a test person. This also just created a test person. Let me uncomment that just to show it working for now. And so I won't go through all of what this code is doing, but it's basically just kind of testing out creating a person, and then what happens right here is it jumps to other. So all of this code was me testing how would I instantiate a person, and then down here was just a brief test. What does jump to other do if other is in this other file? And I was just making sure, testing how the bounds of ren'py works, and I'm pretty sure, given this is Python, as long as they're in the same file directory, any Python class is going to be able to reference any other Python class in this file. That could get overbearing if I decide to make too large of a project, but I'm using ren'py. I don't think I'm ever going to make too big of a project with it. I think if I really wanted to do more complex things, I would just download I would download Unreal or some other framework out there. I've seen some really intense stuff using ren'py, and I understand the want to do that. Python is a very easy language, but I also know more languages. I know a little bit of C, I know Java, and so the idea of jumping to Unity or Unreal is not too daunting to me. If anything, it feels like a good challenge, good practice for me, so I'll do that eventually. But for now, I want to play ren'py a little bit more, just with some short, largely text adventures, and I'll get to why it's text adventures in just a little bit. But let's demo what this does. in ren'py, you can do a bunch of different stuff. The main thing is to test your project, you do launch project. Alright, so I've got my project open. This is pretty much what default ren'py looks like. If I ever want to eventually put something out other than just this basic tech demo, I'm going to want to go in and kind of learn how to pretty this up a little bit. But for now, this is fine. You've got your load your save files here, a list of preferences you can customize. It's made with ren'py. I just open up a new tab, help button, and I can quit. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and just start the little simple project that I have worked on. And so these are the two different people that I started. This one is using the person. So if we head back to the code right here, we'll see that this first person I've named Jimbo. I've set number 2 in this list right here. And back here in the person, number 2 counts for they, them pronouns. So it says Jimbo uses they, them pronouns. And so next I used the second one. Now in this case I realized it would be a lot easier if I can also have some other form of object to just make the tuples for me, so I wouldn't have to remake them every single time. And for the get-go I set a he, him, she, her, they, them, ze, them, and I just input whichever ones work the best. So in this case, I put she, her, and ze, them. And so Sam will use both of these pronouns, and it's going to choose a random pronoun in this line right here. So when it displays Sam uses other pronouns, it's either going to be she, her, or ze, them. Let's see what the random number generator gave us this time. Ze, them pronouns. Now let's move on. Now this is where I started trying to ask, what if I'm actually building a character so that they can be injected into the story? So first, let's build your profile. Could you give your preferred name? I chose Sam. I like the name Sam. I don't know why I like the name Sam, but I like the name Sam. But for this one, let's use a different name. Let's use Mario 8th. Does Mario 8th look right? Yes, Mario 8th looks right. This is all basic ren'py stuff. I was just kind of playing with it, trying to figure out what to do at this point. Now let's think about pronouns. Unfortunately, there are no ways to select multiple different options with ren'py. It was the first thing I looked for. There is no multiple option selection. So for if you want to use multiple, which I did for this tech demo, you basically have to go through each one one-on-one, and if it's there, add it to a list. We've all got them, I've got them, you've probably got them. Let's go through a few, let me know if you use them or not. Do I use he, him? He, him. So each one of these has 3 different options. I use he, him, which adds it to the list and takes you to the next pronoun. No next, which doesn't add it to the list, takes you to the next pronoun. Or I only use he, him, skip the rest. For now, I want to show this special piece of logic that I added. No next. I use she, her. No next. I use they, them. No next. I use ze, them. No next. Alright, would you like to enter your own custom pronouns? No thanks. And I said, whoa buddy, looks like you didn't actually add any. Unfortunately, we are going to have to refer to you in this. Let's jump back to the start. If you keep playing around, I might have to decide for you. And the game jumps you back to this selection page. And if you do this again, it continues to say, uh-oh, there's nothing there. And if I skip one more time, and I say, no thanks, alright, you want to keep playing games? I'm designating you a they, them, congratulations. I was saying, okay, sounds good, Mario 8th uses they, them. And so I decided, if you don't want to choose, I'm going to choose for you. In this case, he uses they, them. Alright, so this is a good example of why I can't do art. This is kind of the best you're gonna get out of me. This is the big roadblock from trying to make a game, is this is the peak of my artistic ability. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with this, but I drew this with my mouse. And then from here I just kind of checked this congratulations is in a different file, and then that congratulations calls a different file, and then it ends the game. Real quick, starting out again, let's call this person Sam. Sam looks right. Alright, sick. Sam does not use he, him pronouns. They do use she, her, and they, them, but not ze, them. And then yeah, let's enter, I don't know, any other neopronouns. But if I, for instance, do it says that doesn't look quite right. Please try again. If I do it's it. That doesn't look quite right. I did make it, so it needs to be in this exact formula. Formula enables for the game to recognize it. So I do itself. I think that looks right. I don't use its pronouns. I didn't look that up. Okay. This is what I got. This looked good. It's itself. And this isn't taking the string from before. It is decompiling it, making it into a tuple, and then reconstructing the string to make sure it looks right. Yes, this looks good. Awesome. Would you like to enter another set? So if you really wanted to, in this tech demo, you're able to add as many neopronouns if you want. For instance, yeah, let's get more gender in here, or nope, we're good. I think that's enough for here. Nope, we're good. Okay, sounds good. Sam, who uses she, her, they, them, it. Oh, okay, cool. So I just decided to display all of them in one line to show that all of those are there. And again, this isn't just a string. I'm pulling this out of the person object that I created for Sam. And then it just kind of goes into this again. That is all I've gotten so far. If we really wanted to, I could kind of go into some of this garbage that I wrote down here. So instead of jumping into other, let's end this by showing some of the beautiful art that I have created for this project. So obviously, other things that I would want to do for this project is the one thing I want to do is create more music for this. The other would be to make the art look less horrible, maybe just gradients, or maybe I can download images from Getty Images just to show that off. Or maybe try a little bit harder for the art. All right, so I've gotten the original project I've started loading up just to kind of show off this beautiful little monster I've created. So I kind of just wrote to myself, I can't believe I'm doing this. Eileen was the default character in the tutorial section when you create an empty project. This is the little face I drew for, I guess, myself. This is Eileen angry. I changed her arm position and gave her angry eyes. And then this is a banana. I drew this banana with a mouse. Confused Eileen. I didn't draw another sprite for me. One thing I did do was I drew all of these character portraits already in a landscape photo. So even though I did have these characters are supposed to move to like the left and the right side of the screen, they can't do that because they already take up the width of the screen. So that's one thing, that if I do want to have characters, make sure they're portraits and not landscapes so they can move around the screen a little bit. Oh right, here's a choice. Choice 1, this is just me playing around with the early language. So I'm that kind of person, that makes total sense, doesn't it? And then it just ends there. So anyway, that was my first devlog. Again, like I was saying, art is a big one. I want to create music for this. I downloaded one free music source and just looking at it filled me with terror. I had no idea what I was doing. Downloading ren'py was kind of like, oh, I kind of get this already. This is very quick. Downloading this music application was like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. What I want is some sort of program that'll let me play with synths, kind of like you can do like in the Mario Paint music section. Just something that let me drags and drops notes along a scale, and it plays the note for that amount of time, and then just has a cycles through so I can make a little beat, make a little song. I feel confident in my musical ability to be able to do music a little bit. I can make something that wouldn't be too jarring for this. But this program I downloaded was so daunting. But it did spark a gruesome idea in my mind, where I've been wanting to buy this thing called a UE, an electronic wind instrument, for quite a while now. And I realized, well, hey, I know how to play saxophone. That is a thing I am able to do. And if I buy a UE, I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard to learn. I've already got a pretty good feel of the notes. And I could figure out how to plug this bad boy into my computer and record the synths that way. This already is loaded with a whole bunch of synths. I'm sure if I wanted to, I could learn how to install more, and then I could go ahead and do it that way. Instead of just dragging and dropping, I can actually be performing it. But UIs are not cheap. But I really want one. I don't know. I'm probably not going to do this. These are some very expensive price tags, but it would do what I want. For now, I think I'm going to have to at least look up some tutorials on the music stuff, see if I can just make simple beats by myself. The one thing I really don't want to use is just download some of these for these open source songs that everyone uses in every single indie project they're doing. I really don't want to be that person. And so that's kind of my next steps. One, actually blow out this character creation, write a little bit of a story instead of just kind of ending it off at the character creation. Actually write a short novella, I guess, interactive story about that character doing something, and then make the game more aesthetically pleasing. Get some sort of music in here, make this UI look a lot less awful, and then of course do something about art. I don't know. Anyway, that is going to be it for my first devlog. If you got any recommendations for me, any more things I should try with a ren'py, any recommendations for music software or ways to make art not horrible, do not tell me about AI generated images. I will not be using those. But let me know what you thought about this. I might be doing more of these depending on how often I continue to do this. Zelda is going to be out by the time this comes out, and that is going to be taking up most of my time until I complete it, so we'll see how much more programming I get done. But anyway, let me know how you think. Maybe leave a comment down below. If you'd like this video, leave a rating on it. Subscribe if you'd like to hear more about what I'm thinking, either about what I'm programming or what video games or stuff I've watched recently. You can subscribe. I think I just said that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Oh, you can follow me on all my social medias. I am at Mario8 everywhere, and I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.